I mean, that's so huge. And I think it's so simple to go outside and walk. It sounds like it wouldn't do that much, but it's a moving meditation. Shay, rough week with some wins and some super lows. Let's dig in. My nutrition has been better, but not great. I have been sure to work on my mobility every day. I am worn thin from driving back into full-time work, but excited to be working. The thing that's been hardest is I lost a friend who's been a brother to me suddenly without warning. I'm hurting, but I'm spending a lot of time outside and walking because at home, I just wanted to cry and binge. That is a big shift. That's a big pivot from the previous post. But I think it's a perfect 1-2, because as much as you're going to have wins, you're going to have some wins and some super lows. So let's look at this with the bright side. Let's look at the positives. So I've been sure to work on my mobility every day. One of the biggest things that I've found personally in my life, I've mentioned, we just talked about it earlier, how I do meditation, then I do yoga every morning. The meditation every morning was great, but when I added in the yoga right after, that was the game changer. So it was my mental health and it was my physical health, but your physical relates and translates over to your emotional and your mental. And I'm not trying to say, hey, go and prescribe to the chakras and shit. I'm not going into like the real, the spiritual aspects of yoga and that type of thing. But you might believe what you want to believe. That's not a problem. I'm just saying that when you have physical tension, it directly it definitely translates back up to your psychological function. Like once you do like some mobility work, you just feel more open. You feel more open. You feel completely you feel a lot of that physical release, which manifests itself in that like psychological tension. So that's huge. And very important when you're driving, like when you're like going back full-time work and maybe like you're limited with mobility at work, you're balancing that a lot. And just having someone close to you that just like passed that quickly there's really nothing to replace that shock. But the fact that you are transferring that type of negativity into spending time outside and walking, that's huge. I mean, that's so huge. And I think it's so simple to go outside and walk. It sounds like it wouldn't do that much, but it's a moving meditation. It's a moving meditation. It's a very human thing to do, to be out in nature, to be outside. Allows you to think. You get that rhythmic kind of like impact with walking. It's a very natural thing. Is it raining? It's just a very natural thing to do. I love walking the dog like that, or because of that reason, because it allows me to think. Sometimes I'm on the phone and sometimes I go live on Instagrams like that, but just to walk, it's great. Yeah, exactly, Danielle. Walking does help you reflect. It certainly does. Literally just going for a walk. And you can go it sounds silly talking about this, but everyone's always talking about exercise and training as if it has to be something hardcore, lifting heavy. It has to be complicated yoga. Walking. Whether you're bulking or cutting, it doesn't matter. You're not going to burn that. I mean, it depends on how far you're walking, but you're not going to burn calories to the point where it changes your whole workout schedule. If anything, it's going to get you mobilized, going to make you feel good. It's going to be good for your cardiovascular system. It's going to help you breathe. So yeah, it's just so important. It's so important and so easy to do. It's free. And aside for those situations where you might live in a climate where it's fucking negative 30, you can walk all the time for the most part.
Swole fam, y'all better run this up. KD, let's go. Yeah. Aye, East Coast with that gang. West Coast with that gang. Global with that gang gang, nigga. You know we don't play games, yeah. East Coast with that gang gang, West Coast with that gang gang, Global with that gang gang, nigga. You know we don't play games, yeah. East Coast with that gang gang, West Coast with